Well, Racing Together is really the umbrella brand that encompasses charities, commercial organizations, and those in between that work in and around racing, that do anything really that supports the outside community. I mean, racing's always been an incredibly charitable sport. There's plenty of charities that are working, if you like, inwardly to support our jockeys, our racing staff, our retired racehorses. And the charity also I'm privileged to run with Racing to School is one of the outward-facing ones. So we work with a number of schools, as a lot of your viewers will know. And Racing Together really encapsulates all of those charities and racecourses, and as I said, lots of other bodies, the British Horse Racing Authority, Weatherby's, the sales houses, and the list is fairly endless. When they put themselves, if you like, in touch with their communities, which of course they do on a very regular basis commercially, let's say, but when actually there's a concerted effort to support the communities, whether they're fans of our sport or not, that doesn't really matter. If the sport is a force for good, then Racing Together really is right in the midst of that. And what brought everyone together last Thursday, for the 5th annual Racing Together Community Day was really that focus on employee volunteering. And I'm pleased to say it was a great success.
So what sort of thing was going on? Because this sounds like something that lots of industries and big corporate bodies are getting more sort of involved in, trying to work with their employees and go out and work in their communities and do a bit of good in their communities. But as you say, in the world of racing, we're such a diverse sort of workforce, aren't we? So many different roles and so many different areas. How does it all come together, and what have people been doing?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. But I think the first thing to say, this isn't some manufactured sort of PR stunt, because, we all know what's in the news. We all know what's coming on the weekend in terms of one of our biggest showcases. But this is the 5th annual Racing Together Community Day, and it's grown exponentially, really. It's a record of 76 racing organisations were part of it this year. Over 40 charities were supported, 230 people and 700 volunteer hours. So it really was a case of really challenging our colleagues right around the sport to think as a group, what would they like to do? Where's the local need to them? And how could they get involved on and around the specific day? But I think it's really important to say, well, two things. One, thank you to the employers who supported them and gave them time to do that and got involved themselves. And also, this is year-round, Sean. This isn't just a pop-up. This isn't pop-up volunteering. This is year-round activity. We put a focus to it to generate the, if you like, the collective effort. And I think that's really important because it has grown and people are constantly doing it. But if I tell you today that 30 staff at Cheltenham Racecourse are going to spend something like 200 hours this week working at the Riding for Disabled Centre in the Cotswolds to build a sensory garden with the support of the Well Child charity, which is well connected to Cheltenham. Then you'll see that that won't make the news today. Well, it will now. I've said it, but it's not a headline act. They're doing it because there's a great need there, and it's great fun as well. And what I would say, and I had some experience of it myself with food banks. That's been a real theme this year. I mean, racing doesn't live outside of society in a bubble. Sometimes we think it does, but the reality is we're part of society. The cost of living crisis is as hard hit in our sport with our people as anyone else. And it is really indicative that a lot of the chosen work, alongside the litter picking and the tea mornings and the couriers days and tidying up Ludlow roundabouts and all the great stuff that was done locally, but actually was a concerted force towards food banks and that need, because that's not going away anytime soon. And I've seen it firsthand. I mean, on an industrial scale, almost, as soon as food came in, it was distributed out. It went to charities and church groups, etc. And I think the fact that racing has done that, Newmarket's a good example of that. I know the team at Weatherby's were involved, myself and my colleagues at the BHA, in something called the Felix Project. So that's real stuff, and that will go on today and tomorrow and every other day. So there's real opportunities for people in the sport to give their time on an ongoing basis. But people didn't really need to be pushed and shoved, Sean. I mean, it was really a question of, can we get the right thing that fits for them in their time frame? Cheltenham couldn't do it last week, but of course, as I said, a very busy starting today with building that sensory garden. And I think it was something like 23 racecourses and counting that have been involved, 11 trainers, and we all know how busy trainers are and their demands on their time and their staff's time, but that number has gone up as well. So it's been really, really encouraging. And I just must mention my colleagues, Lucy Gurney and Florence Kane, who've really done all the work to coordinate this great effort.